Yo guys, what's going on? Tom for 2 here, or Chessman Lost Ark. Today I'm doing a video specifically for Act 4. And we're going to be going over the Sidereal guide. Now, as someone who's usually the party lead, I gotta be responsible for doing the Sidereal usage. I know a lot of people out there are a little bit nervous making their own parties because they don't know how to use the Sidereals. So this video is just gonna be doing a quick and dirty version, pretty a little bit of a freestyle. I don't really have anything planned per se besides just showing some VOD of Act 4 gameplay. So we'll start with Gate 1. And remember, if you guys like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe, all that good stuff. I do pretty much dungeon runs of my characters and Lost Ark raids and such. So if you like that sort of stuff, just be sure to check it out. Let's get into Act 4 Gate 1. Honestly, this boss is pretty annoying, but you are going to use the Sidereal um, pretty much until maybe the first part right here. So she's going to do the cutscene. You guys are going to do the stagger mech. So this is, I'll pause right here real quick. This is a VOD from when the gate or the raid initially came out. Now, speed up to nowadays, you're probably DPSing enough where you don't have to use the side here. But I think I would just do a version where let's just assume everyone is at eye level, you're progging, things are going to be a little bit slower. So you might have some sidebar usage here. Um, I find that after you pass the mech here, where you're reading the patterns and everything, it's easiest if you just use Thyrene. So as soon as you counter, the lead should just use Thyrene, just times 3, just one proc, Control Z. You get a little bit of extra damage off before she goes into the cutscene. Now, of course, in this VOD, I didn't do it, but I think conventionally, if DPS is slow, you just Sidereal Thyrene here. Um, Second part doesn't happen until the next mech. Now, the next mech is the jump rope phase. She's going to phase, she's going to spawn in the middle, and then she's going to have this gigantic shield. You're going to want to use Nineveh. So there's if you notice on my screen, on the top underneath the health bar, there's some stacks. There's about 70 stacks. You're supposed to get that stack count as close to 0, or pretty much zero it out, right? So it's about when the stat count hits around 5, between 10 to 5 stacks, I usually just throw out the Nineveh because as a lead, you still got to be dodging. So here, you got to use side right away. You have to use the +1 as well. Um, I think nowadays, parties are so DPSed where not even hypers are up. So I think it's really important to, at least for the lead, to get the Nineveh proc off. Now, in some cases, if DPS, is slower, someone's gonna need to throw dark and whatnot. But that would be the second time you would ideally use the side usage. Um, Generally, I don't use. I think normal hard mode runs now. I'm only using the side. The first time I'm using side is in that mech right there. The next time you use side is actually in this phase where you're pretty much taking the boss from whatever remaining HP down to 30 bars, and you're gonna want to use Thyrene times 3 plus 1. So here you just look for a good pattern where she's pretty much gonna stay still and she's not gonna move a whole lot. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much one of the, I think the second to last time you're gonna use the side. Let's see, when do I actually use it? Yeah, so I find that she's staggered here. Proc Thyrene times 3. Use the +1 as soon as it comes up as well. I think it does a little bit better job, at least tracking the boss and getting the damage on than like Mordum for example. So there is the third usage, and then the last time is really not that necessary, but pretty much at the stagger phase, you just use Way. As soon as she teleports to the middle and you see the stagger bar, you could just proc Way. But honestly, Echidna will help with the stagger against Brel anyways. So can use times 3 and times 3 plus 1. Um, so yep, that's pretty much it for Gate 1. So just to recap, if after the kind of the Simon Says phase, you can use Thyrane if you have meter up. Second time usage, you use Nineveh to break the shield. You must use ×3+1. And then in the late game phase, you use Thyrane ×3+1 to get down to 30 bars. And then the last part is Way. Looking at Act 2. Act 2, you definitely are going to be using the side bar a lot more. Now, I'll caveat by saying that a lot of times now people are bursting it before the desert phase, or not the desert phase, but you know, this phase where the boss has a very small kind of playing field now. So Sidereal usage might be a little bit off just because of how juiced some parties might be in hard mode now, even normal mode. Like normal mode, you're killing it at the shield part. But maybe I could pull up some VOD of some of the alternatives. But let's just do like assume you're at eye level, you're progging. So pretty much after this billiards phase, you're gonna want to use Azena off the bat. So Azena just gives you some extra damage to work with. I think I forgot to use it, but yeah, Azena right immediately after the billiards phase when it gets phased. As soon as you throw the shield at the boss. And don't use the +1 because you're gonna want to save that for Balthor. If your damage is pretty good, you're gonna phase pretty fast to the part where you're gonna have to do the stagger. So ideally here, you're gonna generate enough meter where you're gonna get Balthor ×3 +1, and you're gonna want to do it right at the end, kind of here. So again, he's gonna put up the wall here in hard mode. In normal mode, he won't, but essentially you just break the wall, you dodge the earthquake, and as soon as he finishes kind of running through the wall, that's when I like to use Balthor. Immediately after, you're gonna use the +1 if you have it up, and you want to use it while he's staggered, the boss is staggered, for the extra damage. Now, I have seen some parties, if I back up a little bit, they use the Balthor right here just to help break the wall. I don't think it's really necessary, but you do you. But I use Balthor ×3 right after this wall break, and then you use +1 immediately after just to kind of get the DPS down a lot more so you can phase the boss. So +1 right after. You're gonna play this phase a little bit. You're gonna kind of go through here. You're gonna wait until the part where you're doing the guard patterns. Now, the guard patterns is pretty simple. You're gonna want to use Thyrane just for extra destruction. But I think the main thing that you want to wait for is, I usually wait for 3 encounters of the guard pattern. So if I back this up, so we phase right here, and I don't use it right off the rip because I usually want to save the +1 part for killing all the soldiers around the boss. So I'll just let this play through, but we're going to do 1 of these guard patterns, right? Everyone's throwing their destructions or corrosives or whatnot. So we're about to play the second guard pattern. So here, guard, that's number 2. And then now we're going to play the third one. And then I assume that after this third one, I'm going to proc Thyrane. Hopefully. Maybe after the fourth one even. But generally after the third or fourth one, I use it. Just to get the extra destruction off. And then you wait until the destruction is done, and then you use the +1 so that you can nuke all the you can try to nuke all the ads depending on where you procced the original Thyrane. So that is another side usage there. The next time I think you want to use side. Now there's a few different ways that you could play it. So at this turtle part, I'll start with just if you're just at eye level, I suggest not using Azena right here, in case you don't have enough DPS. You're gonna play out the turtle mech, It goes by pretty fast. You're just gonna dodge spears, make sure you destroy these volcanoes, and dodge. And then right after this part of dodging, you wait until sort of right before these red spear telegraphs kind of come out, and you use the secret Balthor. He turns into a little Rammus and he breaks the shield. And then you can further DPS. It's just a quick and dirty secret side usage, I think. The alternative way is as soon as the shield comes up, you can use a Zena and blast it, the shield. And if you have enough DPS, the shield will actually just break. You'll have enough DPS to just break the shield. And with that, you can use +1. But I probably wouldn't use +1 unless your party is super juiced. Just because in the next part, you might need to break, I guess, the wall in this next phase. So in this next phase, if you're just assuming you're at eye level, DPS might be a little bit short, you're going to have side meter for this part where he's going to slam down. You guys are going to need to use tethers. You're going to have to break the wall. You have to use a Zen if your DPS is a little bit short, just to break the wall. Aim it at the boss as well so you get the extra damage. And then usually you'll have the +1 as well. So send pretty much the full side meter when you have it. And then you're just DPSing the boss to the finish. I think even here, before, in our first clear, we had additional time to get another proc of the Azena. Let me pull up a VOD maybe of Act 4 when it's like a juiced run. So yeah, this is a super recent juiced run. Let's just play this through where we just use Thyrane. We're getting down to the shield mech, and then this is gonna be the part where, the boss is pretty much dying. Gonna die soon. And we are gonna just send a Zena right at the shield part. So here, I'm the side person. We're just gonna send a Zena. Damage is really good. Essentially just gonna break the shield. People are greeting DPS. Shield's broken. We can send +1 because we know that we aren't gonna face that small pattern, even though it's like 70 bars. And we're just nuking this thing down. So those are the alternative ways. You can kind of play around the side. You just kind of have to kind of read the situation and send it. I'm sure someone in the raid will tell you if to use side or not. So, yeah, early on, you really don't use side in, Act 1 until this phase. Act 4, even after billiards, like, probably don't need to use side, but, if you have it up, you can use it, but you just won't have the +1 meter after the stagger part in the, right here. So you can send Balthor here, but you probably won't get the +1 proc. So, again, it's all about meter management, but honestly, if you just follow this guide, you'll have enough Sidereal meter to, handle each of the special kind of interactions as well. So there are just a few major, for at least Gate 2, there's a few just vital ones that you probably want to use it at. After billiards is always a good part to use it. I always recommend using at least Balthor ×3 for the stagger part. You must use, I like to always use Thyrane ×3 +1 at the guard pattern. And then nowadays, we don't really use the secret Balthor at this part. We just send a Zena if damage is really good, and you just break the shield that way. So there you have it. There's the whole Act 4 side guide. Hopefully, guys, that's useful. I didn't want to make this too long, but I know it ended up turning into like a 14-minute video of me just yapping. But Gate 1, Gate 2, looking at VOD and looking at all the different kind of use cases, I think is the best way to kind of go about it. And hopefully you guys found this useful. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.